JC Tickets provides first-class trips to Ravens road games, including airfare, 4-star hotels, game tickets, and cocktail parties. We also help provide great seating locations to all Ravens home games. JC Tickets, where the games begin. Visit us at jctickets.net.
Ravens Wrap is sponsored by Bud Light, jctickets.net, Geico Insurance, Dunaway Furniture, Ocean City Golf Club, RussellStreetReport.com, Comfort Inn Gold Coast, Holiday Inn Express, the original Green Turtle, hosted by the Blue Ox Bar and Grill.
And welcome back in. It's a very special edition of the original Green Turtles Ravens Wrap Show on Comcast Beach TV and 93.5 The Beach. Kickoff this week, 4:25. Finally got it. 3:55 pregame show. We're broadcasting from the Ravens room here at the Blue Ox, 127th Street and Coastal Highway in Ocean City. Hey, I wanted to give, while Steve's here, and I know he's well aware. Oh, yeah, what's this on my finger here? Oh. Wow. Not bad bling bling. I like that. Well, thank you much, I appreciate it. Hey, and Steve, I know you're well aware of this, as John Harbaugh was as well, and I thought he did a great job of getting the players to come over. But a round of applause, not only Ravensers 44 and 96, but upwards of 20,000 Ravensers fans at the Miami game 2 weeks ago. Steve, I know, and we want to get to talking about the Super Bowl a little bit, but just briefly, talk about the Ravensers, the Ravens fans. I mean, they've really built themselves up on these road trips to be a pretty big gathering.
Well, Miami, I mean, when the schedule came out and it was Miami, and, you know, I knew it beforehand because you know the rotations. And I just prayed that it was going to be a later game, not a September game, because then weather's still beautiful here. And I thought that was a little early, so maybe I tempered my expectations about what we would do there as a traveling team. But oh my God, it was crazy. It was, I have never, in my 14 years owning this team, I have never seen the Ravens fans take over a stadium like they did. Wow. In Miami.
Round of applause, you guys
Were you there?
Oh yeah, they were there.
44.
44,
Raise your hand
96
if you were
though.
there. Way to go.
Well, there was a columnist for the Sun Sentinel.
Yeah.
By the way, thank you for letting me smoke my e-cigar.
Yes, it is.
That's it.
My e-cigar.
E-cigar. It's unbelievable they made those
The
already.
columnist for the Sun Sentinel, he said he'd been covering the team for 10 years. He said he's never seen a takeover like that. And to the Ravens fans' credit, you have a lot of transplanted New Yorkers down there. They're down there a lot more often. The Steeler fans, we all know how they travel. But for this guy to come out and say in his years of covering the Dolphins, this was he said, I didn't know that when you won the Super Bowl, you got to have a road home game.
Yeah. Yeah.
Make that 9 on the calendar this year.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We went to Denver on week 1, but we went to Miami on week 6.
We should talk about that before we get into the Super Bowl, though. Week 1,
Yeah.
I'm sure that to a person out there thinks the Ravens got screwed because they didn't host the first game of the season. Now, I look at it from the perspective of, okay, that probably is true, but when you look back at what happened the previous year, they played on a Wednesday. Why couldn't they have played this game on a Wednesday? And a second part of that question is, now that we know that that's already happened, did the league, because at that point going forward, the league looked like it really gave the Ravens a fair shake with the balance of the schedule?
That's what we were hoping for, is when we realized that it wasn't Peter Angelos, it wasn't the Orioles, it was Major League Baseball.
The
It
Union.
was the Union. It was the White Sox. If I'm the White Sox, I'm saying, screw them. I'm not flying in there at 2 a.m. and playing a noon game. So I had three choices. I could go to Pittsburgh. This is what the league said to me. You can go to Denver, you can go to Pittsburgh, or you can go to Chicago, because there were 3 away games. And those were the 3 that they would have allowed me to go to on the road. And I said, I'm not taking Pittsburgh because they're not celebrating my
Absolutely.
Right, exactly.
Not a divisional game either. yeah.
Right.
And
Divisional game to celebrate your Super Bowl.
I'm not
Right.
You love the Roonies, but not that much.
I love the Roonies. I love the Roonies.
Right.
They're a great organization.
Right.
The other choice was Chicago,
Right.
and they screwed me out of a 4th-round draft pick.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So they were off.
He's not a competitor. He's not a competitor. Is he? Are you kidding me?
I don't hold
You don't
grudges.
remember. You remember everything.
Everything. So
Keep your friends close, your enemies
Chicago
close.
was not going to get it, and so Denver.
missed the putt
thought,
one time.
You know what?
Still haven't
That
forgiven
it's the furthest place we have to fly. We'll get a 10-day vacation, break before we
Like a
play.
mini bye.
So they promised me week 2, week 3 at home after we play Denver, which we got, and they gave me the Thanksgiving night game against Pittsburgh, and I just said, I'll take it. So I just didn't think it was that big of a deal, and if we had gone to Denver in week 7 and gotten our asses handed to us, it wouldn't matter anyway. I just thought that if you look at Peyton Manning's record, he actually doesn't have a great record in his first 4 games. So if you look at Peyton and his 12 wins a year, you would probably find out that week 1 through 4, he is a system quarterback, timing quarterback, way timing quarterback. And so he tends to lose 2 of his first 3 or 4 games in the first 4. So I studied the statistics, and I said I hate Pittsburgh, and now I hate Chicago because they and Peyton plays worse in the early part of the season. So I chose Denver. So sorry we started 0-1, but that was what we had to do.
No,
But
that
I was
makes a
not
lot of
gonna-
sense.
I
And
was
that's
just not
that's
gonna
great for
fight.
fans to
I
hear
was-
that.
It would have been so bad for me to take the position that this is a disgrace and you can't do this and make a big deal that would have put Angelos in a position of and really for all you Oriole fans, Peter really did make an effort to say, can we do it at 4 o'clock? Well, and he offered it from moving it from 7 to 4, and he said the Union will allow a 4 o'clock game. Well, then there was no way we could do that either because we share the parking lot. There was no way we could get that done.
Can't clean it down.
We couldn't clear it out. We couldn't make them because those people would buy a $10 ticket to that game and then stay for our game. So all my top club level and suite level people were not going to be able to get their parking passes. And I just didn't think it was, I just, you know what, you got to pick your fights and I'm tired of fighting.
Well, see, and just
Makes sense.
Yeah, and just
Makes
to wrap
sense.
it up on that point as well, the O's got in at 4 a.m. that morning anyway. So those that wanted a noon or 1 o'clock game while they're in a pennant race would have been tough. We also got a bye week 8 as well, which helps out. But let me parlay this. Today's the 30th anniversary of the World Series from 1983. Let me parlay that into you celebrating a Super Bowl. Did you ever think as a kid growing up watching the Orioles win, I know you're a big O's fan, watch the World Series, that you would be holding a Lombardi trophy one day?
Well, I remember that as the 30-year anniversary of me getting engaged to my wife.
Good answer.
It was September 3rd. It was September 30th that I proposed to my wife, and a couple weeks later, there's some famous bridal place up in Philadelphia that my aunt said, will you bring Renee up and let me take her to this bridal shop? And so I said, okay, but I had been to the earlier home games, and so we went up there. And while this is important for a couple reasons. I got there that day at about noon, and my aunt and uncle met Renee for the first time, and my Aunt Connie took Renee to the bridal place. And I stayed with my cousin Jim and my uncle Jim, and I watched Eddie Murray hit 2 home runs to win the World Series. And that very day was the day that I asked my cousin Jimmy to quit Price Waterhouse and come down and be a partner of mine in Aerotech, which was 3 months old. And he came down that Monday night from DuPont, because he was doing an audit at DuPont for Price Waterhouse. Went back to work, came back, and we did 2 all-nighters on Monday and Tuesday night. And he gave notice and came down, and without Jim, I don't buy the Ravens. So that was a very, very, very special 30.
And guys, we got 30 seconds. What a way to end the show. I mean, now you know the rest of the story. There's a great Paul Harvey backstory to you.
There you go.
Folks, thanks so much for coming out. 2 Super Bowls in the can, and hopefully many more to come. Steve, thank you so much for being with us again this show. Really appreciate it. Absolutely.
Pittsburgh
You out
week!
there, give yourselves a hand. Appreciate it.
What's this all about?
We're giving Rich the NFL experience of a goal line dive.
Really?
There's an easier way to get an ultimate NFL fan experience. Just snap the tag wherever Bud Light is sold and you could win. Bud Light in the NFL. Here we go.
Can I make it?
On the internet, yes. Into the end zone, no.
Come see us at Blue Off.
JC Tickets provides first-class trips to Ravens road games, including airfare, 4-star hotels, game tickets, and cocktail parties. We also help provide great seating locations to all Ravens home games. JC Tickets, where the games begin. Visit us at jctickets.net.